Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over how to truly determine your skill level as a Fortnite player. I'm a big believer that if you want to get better at Fortnite, the first step is to understand how good you currently are. For example, if you're a below average player, it probably isn't a great idea to try to learn a bunch of super advanced techniques. Now, unfortunately, without any help, it's pretty hard to judge yourself as a player in a totally unbiased way. I'll be the first person to admit that at times I'll blame everything except myself when things go wrong, and if you make a habit of doing that, you start to see yourself as a flawless player that just gets really unlucky all the time when that may not actually be the truth. So the purpose of this video is to help you determine your skill level in as unbiased of a way as possible, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so early in Fortnite's history, it used to be pretty easy to determine your skill as a Fortnite player. Back then, the only game modes available at the time were regular solos, duos, and squads, and almost everybody played those modes seriously 100% of the time. Because of that, you could just go to Fortnite Tracker to check your stats, and that would give you a pretty good idea of how you compare to the overall player base. But that's no longer really a viable method because a lot of those stats will be misleading for a variety of different reasons. However, there is a basic stat that I still believe to this day is one of the best indicators of player skill possible, and that's kills per game. Just like in sports, there's no one stat that can 100% accurately determine how good a player is. And also, just like in sports, certain stats can be almost artificially manipulated, either intentionally or non-intentionally. Since you don't die when you win games in Fortnite, common measures such as KD can become super inflated if you just camp and string together a couple 3 or 4 kill wins. Same deal with win percentage. You could be a below average player, but play all the time with 3 super cracked friends, and even though you're barely contributing, you could easily achieve like a 30 or 40% win rate. But what makes kills per match a much better indicator of skill is that it's almost impossible to inflate or manipulate. If you play super aggressive and push everybody you see, you're definitely going to give yourself a chance to get more kills, but at the same time you're also much more likely to die, which obviously ruins your kills per game. If you play super defensive and only take the fights you know you can win, your max kills per match is only going to be like 2 or 3. So here's a really good first step to test your skill level. Over the span of your next 10 to 20 games or so, play as seriously / try hard as possible, and after each game, just write down how many kills you got. You don't have to play all the games in one session, and I think it's fine even if you switch game modes at some point. At the end of however many games you want to play, add all those kills up, and then divide it by the total number of matches. Once you have your final kills per match number calculated, think about this. In a Fortnite game, there are 100 total players, and other than maybe 1 or 2 fall damage / storm deaths per game, there'll be roughly 99 total kills. So the average kills per match across all of Fortnite is just under 1.0. So I would say if your kills per match end up being between about 0.75 to 1.5, you're roughly an average player. Then 1.5 to 2.5 is what I define as solid / above average, 2.5 to 3.5 would be really good or great, and then anything above roughly 3.5 to 4 is what I'd consider an absolutely elite Fortnite player. Just to give you a personal example, my lifetime kills per match across all game modes is a little over 5, and in this current season, it's actually right around 5.5. Now, I want to make it very clear that this is just one test and it definitely isn't perfect. First off, in a 10 to 20 game sample size, that's small enough to where outlier games can really skew your results. If you're averaging a consistent 1 to 2 kills each match, and then you get a really lucky lobby and have a 10 kill pop-off game, that's going to single-handedly double your kills per game. Also, even though Fortnite reduced the strength of skill-based matchmaking, it's still definitely there to some degree. So if you only look at kills per match, a player averaging 1.5 kills in the lowest skill lobbies would technically be better than a player averaging 1.4 in the highest skill lobbies. The next step to determine your true skill level as a player is to judge your mechanics. Now, are mechanics the end-all be-all in Fortnite? Absolutely not. There are plenty of above average to great players that have average or even worse mechanics. However, you also have to realize that those players are rare. Fortnite's probably the single most mechanically demanding shooter game of all time, and because of that, it's hard to keep up if your mechanics are lacking. Now, even though I said at the beginning of this video that players can be really biased or even just unsure of their overall skill level, I don't really think that's the case when you ask people to rate their individual mechanics. I ask my viewers at the end of videos all the time to rate certain skills such as their aim or building from 0 to 10, and you'd be shocked how few unrealistic responses I get. I barely see any people say 10 or even 9. The vast majority of answers are in roughly the 4 to 7 range, which is super realistic. So just to give you a quick little guide to rate your own mechanics, let me describe what a 5 out of 10 average player looks like for building, editing, and aim. For building, a 5 out of 10 would be a player who's pretty much mastered the basic building techniques, but doesn't really go beyond that. You know, 1 or 2 basic high ground retakes, you can do the simple ramp rushes, but probably not double floor ramp wall, and you can 90 at a decent speed, but good players will frequently beat you to high ground. For editing, a 5 out of 10 player would be someone who definitely knows all the viable edits in the game, but they're noticeably slower than a lot of players you see online. And because of that, you can't really do any advanced double or triple edits, and you probably struggle a bit in box fights because fast editing is absolutely crucial there. Then for aim, I think this is definitely the hardest one to quantify, but in my opinion, a player with 5 out of 10 aim would be solid in AR fights, but your weakness is definitely in point-blank range shotgun fights. It's not like you never hit shots, but you don't hit many 180s or 200s, and you really struggle when you have to make quick flick shots. So for each of those categories, evaluate how you compare to that theoretical average 5 out of 10 player and give yourself a rating, then add those ratings together and divide by 3. If your final number is between 0 and 3, your mechanics are likely below average, 4 to 6 is pretty much average, 7 or 8 is good/great, and then 9 or 10 is absolutely elite. Again, your mechanics don't single-handedly make you good or bad at the game, but they do play an absolutely huge role in that. So the next skill test is to evaluate your performance in arena mode. I specifically saved this video topic for near the end of this season because by now I'm guessing the majority of you have played arena mode in some capacity. Even though arena mode definitely isn't perfect for many reasons, it's the closest thing to a ranked game mode that Fortnite has. And why that's so important is because it's a game mode that pretty much everybody playing takes super seriously, it uses competitive settings which reward skill more than public matches, and most importantly, your total amount of arena points are constantly either rising or falling based on your performance. So when you've played arena mode enough in a given season, eventually you'll reach a point that I call your skill ceiling. When you first start playing arena mode, it's very easy to gain points. From 0 to 1500, there's no bus fare at all, so it's literally impossible for your points to go down. But then, as your points keep going up and so does the bus fare, it becomes harder and harder to continue increasing. And eventually, you'll hit a point where you're basically treading water, so to say. You aren't really gaining points, but you also aren't really losing them either. That right there means that you've basically hit the perfect amount of points that truly represents your skill level. Now, if you're on console, arena's extra hard because once you hit around 3,000 to 4,000 points, your lobbies are, without a doubt, mainly going to be comprised of PC players, which puts you at a major disadvantage. So a lot of people have this mindset that if they can't reach champs, which is 6k points, then they're bad, but I really don't think that's the case at all. So I know these are kinda arbitrary numbers, but based on my experience, if your skill ceiling in arena is anything under 2,000 to 2,500 points or so, you're likely a below average player. Then between about 2,500 to 3,000 I'd call average, 3,000 to 4,000 I'd say is above average, 4,000 to 6,000 is really good, and then if you can get into champs on console, you're undeniably a great player. However, keep in mind that this mostly refers to solos. If you play duos or trio arena and just get carried by one or two other great players, obviously that makes your points a lot less meaningful. I truly believe that if you combine your kills per match across a solid sample size of games, the unbiased rating of your mechanical skill, and your arena mode performance, you'll get a really good picture of how good you are at Fortnite. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it's a solid overview. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. After watching this, what do you think your skill level as a Fortnite player is? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.